Hey, y'all, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, this is Joe and Jay Outspoken. Remember to follow all of our platforms. You can find them by going to linktree/Joe and Jay Outspoken. Today's show is for Tuesday, October 17th. I'm Jay, and today Joe and I will be discussing how the world of conservatives and Republicans have changed and what the future holds for an ever-dividing party. Okay, Joe, what the heck happened to the GOP?
And I don't know, but all I know is that we need to get back to centered, right? And figure out what we're doing, because what we're doing is for the people, not for themselves. So we need to get it back together. So whoever's listening, act right, man. Act right.
Couldn't agree more. All these dang rhinos, stop your shenanigans. Let's make America conservative again.
You ain't wrong.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're joining us again, thanks for coming back. And if this is your first time here, we've got a bunch of other videos. We'd love to have you check them out and give us comments, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever. We'd love to hear from you. So, all right, Joe. Well, this is an interesting subject here. People are probably a little confused. They think conservatives and Republicans are the exact same thing. Couldn't be farther from the truth, right?
You're absolutely right. It is totally different. I mean, there was a time in our society when conservatives were the other side, right? The Democrats, right? They had conservative views and whatnot, and it kind of started getting a little blurred, and the Republicans kind of took over that being conservatives and as far as what we believe in, the laws that we were passing and whatnot. Now it's a bit skewed, right? Now we have so many people in the Republican Party that have conservative views, but then you have so many that have the liberal views, right? That are siding with the other side, which is, I guess, okay, depending on, I mean, you should be able to like some things and not others. But when it starts impacting the nation as a whole to where we see what's going on today, where they're just fighting, right? There's fighting amongst themselves. You had the speaker removed, something that hasn't been seen since years and years, right? I don't think it's happened before. I think this is the first time that it's happened in the way it did. So, and
yes,
you know what?
That's correct. Yeah, I think this is the first time that it's ever happened in the way it did.
Yeah.
So I know there was another time that something had to happen, but I think it was because of don't quote me on this. We'll put something up on the screen, but it was for a death or somebody got sick or something like that. You
might be correct. Yeah. And here's the problem is that we have to have loyalty, one, to the American people, but two, to our party, right? We have to have that loyalty. Right. We have to stand for something or else we stand for nothing. And the thing is that for us to get that vote, Republicans had to side with Democrats to win that, you know? And to me, that's like, I don't know. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like
sleeping with the enemy.
Yeah, it is. But don't get me wrong. I do like Gaetz and what he's trying to do, right? But here's yet another division. And that division happens to be our great leader and ex-president Donald Trump, right? The party was divided when he entered his presidency. And not because, and this is again my opinion, not because he was doing a bad job, but only because he was calling people out for being Republicans, right? Yeah. You're a Republican and this is what you've been doing. No, shame on you, right? And he's always stood there. Why? Because he's always put America first, right? Americans, the nation, always first, not the party, right? He only became because he was also a Democrat. You remember? He became a Republican because of the conservative views that which he grew up believing in. But no, we have totally done away with that core values that Republicans have, and now they're just, like you said earlier, sleeping with the enemy. There's no rhyme or reason to what they do with their votes. Do we have rhinos? Absolutely, right? Do we have people like the speaker? He promised so many things, and what happened? Right? We stood there waiting and waiting and waiting. nothing ever developed, right? I figured that Gates figured he had enough time to call him out, to bring up an indictment on either Biden or his son. Just so many things that nothing was ever done. So, and here's that. That's when you have that breakdown. It's just crazy, man. It really is,
Right.
because you see that and you're thinking, man, we're a party that was great at one time, and I say that at one time because we are falling apart. We are falling apart, and the Democrats, the liberals, are taking advantage of that right now. They're like, oh man, they're just all over the place. Let's get in there and just start. They're loud. They're everywhere, right? You can't have a
Right.
conversation because they out talk us, or they out volume us in everything that they do, that we just stand down, right? So there's a
Right.
lot. There's a lot, and I think that we need to start addressing these issues within our own houses.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I've mentioned this before, but um, folks that are asking, well, what the heck's the difference between a conservative and a Republican? Isn't it the same thing? All the Republicans are conservative people, and actually, they're not. There's a lot of people that might be in the Republican Party, or even were Trump supporters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And uh, they voted in that direction because they like the fiscal policies, right? The things that are monetary and all that kind of stuff. But just like in some recent elections that we've had, where the stuff is more emotional based than reason based, so things um, like abortion and things like that, you see we'll see people that are in the Republican Party actually kind of bend the other way because they
Right.
believe in abortion and stuff like that. So this is the big separation, because true conservatives. So going back to the whole January 6th thing, this is the best example I can give that people can, because everybody on both sides, if you're a lefty, you're saying these were the most evil people in the world. That, because I mean, they're comparing it to like 9/11 and stuff like that, which
Oh
is
yeah.
really, in my opinion, extremely disgusting. There was a ton of people that lost their lives in 9/11, and
And
that
those were
is
true
not the case.
terrorists.
Those are true terrorists, yeah, and,
Yeah.
and that's not the case on January 6th. Now, here's the thing: there's three things I would say. You could have had Trump supporters there and or Republicans there, okay, that were breaking into the White House. And, we saw the videos of people being let in. They were staying between velvet ropes,
Being escorted.
um, being escorted through. Right now, these people that went in there, like I saw some guy that had put his, like, I didn't like Nancy Pelosi. Don't like the. I'm glad she's out of there and everything. However, there was a guy that went into her office and put his feet up, right? And I completely 110% disagree with that. Okay. Not because I like that lady or have any respect specifically for her, but for that position, for that desk. Who knows how old that desk is that's in there, right? There's artifact type stuff. There's stuff that is based on it's for our history that's
She
in
got
there.
kicked out of there, by the way.
Yeah, she did get kicked out of there, which I'm totally happy about that. But again, that
No,
person.
you're right.
So anybody that damaged anything in there,
That's all
I think
historical. That's all
that's
historical
right.
stuff going
That's
on over
right,
there.
man.
Yeah.
Imagine if somebody went in the original painting of George Washington that's in there. They took a knife to it or throw paint on it or something like that. Everybody, regardless if because people will say, well, George Washington owned
like
slaves
those,
or
like
all
those,
this kind of stuff.
like those climate crazy people that
Oh
throw
gosh,
oil and stuff like that and on paint.
glue
Yeah,
their hands to the concrete
dude, I
and
love
stuff
that.
like
I
that.
love when they glue their hands. I'm like, yeah, do
And
it
then they're
again.
screaming when they're trying to get them out. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
well, we're
yeah.
just going to let you be here and defecate on yourself. Go for it.
I have one
Ding
way to
dong.
pull them off.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I
I'm
totally
just going to
agree.
tie a chain to you and
Pull you.
hook you to the back of the. We'll hook them to the back of your truck, man. We'll just let's go. It's tractor
No,
pull time.
but I agree with you. I was, but to sit there and say that there was an invasion or a terrorist attack, and
No.
I mean, come on, man, this is. I get it. People's mentality is like, hey, my taxes pay for those buildings. My taxes did this. My taxes, right? I get it. But in the
Right.
same breath, those are historical buildings, right? We want to take
Yeah,
care of them. We don't want to, you know, I mean,
that's
everybody's
right.
crying. All people cry about like, oh, America doesn't have any history. Yeah, go to Washington D.C., go to Virginia, go to all these places,
Philadelphia.
go to Philadelphia. You'll see all the history, the
Yeah,
great history of a nation that was once the most powerful nation in the world, and how it started. It
right.
wasn't back in the days like the Europe and all them, right? We started after that, and we took dominance over that. And you could see
Yeah.
where all this started, right? So yeah, I agree 100% about that. And you're right. But the problem, again, we even Trump recently uh, stated that he goes, I don't know what's going on with the Republican Party fighting amongst each other so much. You know, they need to get together and fight the policies of the other side. You know, and he's
Right.
100% right. Like, how many rhinos are in that Congress, and he still has faith in how our democracy operates. Right? He
Yeah.
still has faith in Congress and say, "Hey, man, stop while you're fighting amongst ourselves and fight what the true problem is, and that's these leftist laws that are being passed ridiculously, right? Your great governor of California passing. Did you hear about the ebony alert? Instead
Yep.
of
For the
instead of
kids.
the amber alert, it's an ebony alert. Like, that's the crap that we should be fighting. Those are the turd birds we should be going after, not
Yeah.
our own party, not our own people. You know, if what happened when we were young and we used to fight with our friends or our siblings, bro. We had what they pull us aside and say, hey, you guys go talk it out, right? Go
Right.
talk it out. Your football, if you were in sports, right, or even in band, Jay, if you guys had a disagreement with each other, did you guys just like start talking and just fighting, or did you guys were you guys forced to talk it out? You guys were forced to
You're
talk it
forced
out,
to
right?
talking out. Yeah. Well,
And,
this is the simple thing for. So why does anybody fight? It's emotional based, right? You fight
mhm,
on emotions. You
true,
reason based on reason, right? You talk it out based on reason. So emotions and reason. The reason that the left is more cohesive, I believe, than the right, is that they base most of their decisions off of emotional things, right?
right,
So everybody can, whether or not they agree 100% on things, they emotionally agree 100% on stuff. So when it comes to, so the abortion thing, going back to that, they all agree that abortion should be legal, right? Now,
hmm
they may differ on when, up until what point, what stage of,
correct,
but they all believe in that. So the thing is, they just all say, well, we all agree with it, so let's go with it. The problem with the Republican side, the right, is that those actual steps mean something, and it's reason, not emotion. So they will sit there and argue over, well, it's 1 month and 3 days. It's, what I'm saying. So it becomes
they're
more
splitting
of a
hairs. They're splitting
splitting
hairs.
hairs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, listen, we've got to take ground, and I know it sucks, we only get this much ground, we want the full thing, but we got to take as much ground as we can today and come back and fight again tomorrow. And that's a lot of the problem with it. So just to finish up on that whole thing with the Jan 6 thing, nobody that went into the Capitol building that was disrespectful, that damaged anything and or stole anything, was a conservative. Not a single one of them. Again, they might have been Trump supporters, they might have been Republicans, but they were not conservatives,
Very good.
because
True.
the true meaning behind a conservative is exactly that. You would be conservative towards those things. You would respect the historical value of the furniture, of the things that are in there, and the people's positions. Because again, I don't agree at all with Nancy Pelosi, and I'm glad she's out of there. But I would have never, because of that position, because of how our country's set up,
hmm
I would have never disrespected something of hers. Like, case in point, when Trump was giving his speech, and she's behind right behind him, Speaker of the House, she's ripping up documents that are
Yes.
historical documents. Now, granted, they make copies of those and everything, but could you imagine, flip the page on that, and you have any conservatives or Republicans or whatever you want to say do the same thing? People would lose their minds, right?
Yeah.
The only difference is, I don't think the left side of the aisle cares as much about they don't care as much about history and all these things. The only time they care about it is when it is used to their benefit, when it helps them or helps their cause. Other than that, because I mean, I saw this meme and it said something about you know uh, September, when September passed, and September 11th,
Yeah.
and they were like, get over it. I mean, it's all these years ago that 9/11 happened. Why do you guys keep, bringing it up and everything? Because it's usually conservatives and people on the right, and there's a lot of people on the left too, because folks lost people. It was a
Oh
horrible
yeah.
event, and it's like, you guys keep bringing it up. Stop bringing it up. It's a thing in the past. It's like, well, so was Pearl Harbor. So was the bombing of Nagasaki. So was Auschwitz in Germany, and so was slavery. And why do we keep bringing it up? Because we don't want to forget about our history. We don't want to forget about all these bad things that did happen that we don't want to repeat again. And going back to your whole deal, you were talking about the thing that Gavin Nuisance did on
That guy.
what's it called, the alert system,
Yeah, it was the Amber Alert,
the
but
Amber Alert. Yeah,
he created a Ebony Alert.
Ebony Alert. Gosh, and this is the thing, is that black folks, back in the day, that were physically in chains, that were physically enslaved. Okay. These people, and then their next generation, fought tooth and nail, man, to be a part of society. Right. And the government at that time, I mean, you look at like Thomas Jefferson, he owned slaves, but there's tons of writings from him that he said straight out, I don't agree with this. I think we've made a big mistake, but now how do we get out of this? Like, how do we get away from it?
Yeah.
Well, we did, right? And we got away from all that stuff. And what are we doing today? They've worked so hard to be integrated, right, into society, like everybody has. The Jews, the Italians, the Irish, all these people were given a lot of grief when they first came to this country, and nowadays you don't hear about it as much because they've been integrated. Well, the thing is that the left is doing, is they're trying to separate by color, by race, by religion, all these kind of things, and doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's a sad part that the conservative side, the Republican side of the aisle, does not take advantage of that and really get folks to understand that, hey, we're all Americans. It doesn't matter where you came from, there, if again, I hate always bringing up slavery, but it's one of the things that is always a huge hot button for everybody. And if a lot of people of a totally different color than black people didn't fight in that war, I'm sure we would have gotten rid of slavery by now, but it would have lasted a lot longer.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people of different, just in this war alone, we've had between the Vietnam War and Korea and World War II and one and all these kind of things, people of a lot of different ethnicities and backgrounds and have fought for this country, man. And every single one of them, like, me personally, I would like salute them, shake their hand, whatever the most honorable thing I could do for somebody that served this country. It does not matter where they came from or whatever. If they're American and they're fighting for this country and they believe in the flag, and and that's the problem, is that the conservative Republican right need the elephants, the elephants in the room. They need to get together and they need to get this country to join back together. And the problem is, just like you said, we're so divided because we are so much based around reason. We don't have that emotional side to us enough to where we just all get emotional and we stick to one side, even though we're a little different. It's still one emotional thing. We're trying to nitpick the reason. And, I look at, like, they have the squad on their side. Well, we kind of have a squad too. You have Matt, that's kind of in that little party, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and if you look at them, they don't all exactly agree, right? Because Marjorie wanted McCarthy in the seat. Well, Lauren and Matt didn't, right? So these are our squad, right? And they were separated. They didn't want the same thing. So even when you get into these small, tight knit groups, they're not even on the same page. So that's where our problem is. That's where the divisions are so broken up in the GOP. And in my opinion, there's a lot of infiltration. A lot of these people they fly under a GOP flag, the Republican Party flag, and they are not
Well,
at all. I
and you're
mean,
right.
they're
And here's a problem, Jay, is that in within the Republican Party there are so many different groups in there. It's not just conservatives, right? So you have what the core of the majority of the conservatives are faith and flag conservatives, right? They they
right.
they believe
Yep.
in God and country. These are the ones that go out and vote. They're the ones that have the majority representation in the nation as far as a conservative.
Right.
So you have, and then you have all these other smaller, right? I think the populist right. You have the committed conservatives, ambivalent right. So the ambivalent right now, Jay, that is where we're having the problems, right? The ambivalent right are both liberal and conservative that lean a little bit more to the Republican side, right? But that's when you start having that breakdown. Is those? So let me just add another factor to the ones that I just mentioned. Now there's another group. There is yet another group within the Conservative Party, and those are the anti-Trump conservatives, right?
Right. Yeah.
And and to me, you can't even say that term conservatives. It should be the anti-Trump Republicans is what they should be, right? Because
I would agree.
a conservative is nothing like that. Conservatives not. Well, honestly, Jay, you and I, we talk a lot of crap, right, on here, right, and with each other. But
Yeah.
as far as hating like these trans people or the people that have these pronouns and whatnot, we as an individual, I don't hate them. I just don't believe in what they
Oh no,
believe,
not at all.
and the problem is
Right.
that I'm I was raised to be very religious, right? I don't practice it, but that's not to say that I'm not faith based. And so our views clearly are not those of theirs.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
have these issues, right? That I feel that way. So a true conservative is not going to hate the left, right? A true conservative so let's go back to the back in time, like when you had Ronald Reagan, when you had John F. Kennedy. They both parties got together. First of all, the individual parties were aligned, right? They're like brothers and sisters. Everybody has a different belief to a
Yeah.
degree. To a degree.
Everybody was just slightly left or slightly right of
Right.
center, really.
Right. So to a degree they had a little difference within their party, right? But they
Right.
always at the end of the day they always agreed as a united front because that's how you led as a united front. That's how the presidency led by united front. And so they were able to accomplish a lot of things. But now you come to 2023, right? And you have all these people in the Republican Party that hate Trump, what he stood for, and all that stuff. And if you start breaking it down, it's like why do you hate him? Oh, I know why you hate him. He was talking about you because you weren't doing your job, and he called you
Right.
out on it, right? And
Yeah.
he's and now you don't like him, right? And
Yeah.
all and so those people got together, everybody that he wouldn't talk to because he felt that they weren't being true to being a conservative. They got their own little group. That's the anti-Trump Republicans, right? And that's like a cancer in there, that eats away at the party. It just keeps eating
Yeah.
away because you have this group that just keeps voting no, keeps voting no. Anything that has to do with a belief, Gates, he is pro-Trump, right? So anything that he brings to the table, you already got these anti-Trump
Oh,
people, conservatives or
right.
Republicans saying, no, no, he's a Trump lover, Trump supporter. Anything he
Yeah,
says
it
is
doesn't
dumb,
matter what he
right?
says if because it's they don't like Trump. It doesn't matter even if they would agree with it, they won't agree with it because they don't like him so much.
Exactly. And those
Yeah.
ambivalent right people, they lean a little to the left too. So they're like, well, no. So now you got these two groups already that are already just anti anything that has to do with any association with Trump or that there's a bearing or connection to Trump or anything like that. It's out. and that's, I think, where we're starting to get divided. This
Yeah.
nation looked. So let me see. Trump did a lot of great things. I love Trump. He's my daddy, right? And my adoptive daddy. But
Daddy.
at the end of the day, at the yeah, at the end of the day, he was the representative of our great nation, right? His policies were geared for America. His policies were geared for Americans.
Right.
Um, and that's the bottom line, right? There's a lot of things that happen. In the manner that he did it, you might not have liked it, but at least he got results, right?
That's
He's a
right.
businessman,
Yeah.
right? At the end of the day, he's looking for results, and that's what he got.
That's right.
So, for you as an individual, look, man, there's been bosses in my lifetime, and I'm sure you've had them too, that I do not like, right? But yet they produce results, right?
All right.
They did their personality and mine clashed. Why? Because I'm I'm a turd, right? I challenge people, right? And a lot of people don't like that. So people don't like me when it comes to supervisors, and I don't like them in turn, right? Because it's a challenge. But the point being is that I still work with them, right? I
Right.
didn't go against the grain. Now, if there was something I didn't like, I would express my concern. If they didn't care about it, I said my piece, right? But I'm not going to sit there and spew hate with coworkers or anything like that, because then just like form this group of hatred, right? Because at the end of the day, my experience with him is going to vary from my coworker experience with them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah.
it shouldn't be alike. They shouldn't. I shouldn't have to not like somebody only because you don't like them, right? But you're my brother,
Oh
so
yeah.
clearly I'm gonna take your side. That was a bad example. So let me give another example. So I'm not gonna dislike a boss because my coworker doesn't like him, right? If the guy's been cool
Yeah.
with me, great. But if the guy has great ideas or he's got great policies, or dude, at the end of the day, I work for the American people as a congressman. I work for the American
Right.
people. And if this president, who I think is a jerk,
You're in Congress now?
I didn't tell you, yeah, I represent the 52nd state. So
Oh man.
anyway,
Yeah.
anyway, so if I didn't like, at the end of the day, if I don't like this president because he's a turd bird, because he sends out mean tweets, or because he makes fun of people, whatever, that's him. But if
Yeah.
his policies help ultimately the people who I represent, I'm going to vote for it. I'm like, that's a good policy. Damn it.
I
You
mean,
know what I mean? I support it.
if nothing else, if you could get cheaper groceries and a cheaper tank of gas, wouldn't you just vote for whoever that person is? Like if you were guaranteed to go back to that period of time,
Yeah.
forget about anything, who they are, how they tweet, whatever.
How
Wouldn't
well
you
he could
want
walk
that?
a case, how well he could walk upstairs. I mean, that's irrelevant stuff, right?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter if he could
dude.
walk
You know
upstairs
what?
really good.
So we make fun of JB all the time. Yeah, turn the national predator. And we make fun of him all the time. You know what, man? If he was falling up the stairs and looked like a Roomba on the stage, walking around looking for the ice cream truck that's going by 2 blocks of, right? So yeah, that's what he looks like, man. He's and when he stops, he like starts to go, and then they point, no, go that way, and he starts moving around. I mean, with all that said, all the stuff we make fun of him, if the country was running great and he was doing a great job, I wouldn't care about all that stuff. Would we maybe
No.
still make fun of him?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Comedians have made fun of presidents for forever. You really think about it. I mean, not Daddy Bush, but Son Bush. He was a ding dong, right?
What we call a turd bird.
Turd bird.
Yeah.
People did not make fun of him. I mean, they made fun of his
accent.
Yeah, I guess I got it. Yeah, just his accent and stuff. That's what they would bring up. But he was a dum dum, right?
Yeah.
And he had a lot of power with all of his family, and he was not made fun of, not even remotely close, and put down and everything else as much as Trump was. Trump came into that office. He's the first president that's ever been in there that didn't give a crap about lobbyists, about their money that they were going to throw at him. And that's why they couldn't throw. Yeah. And that's why they all hated him.
Yeah.
And these two things, if you could only judge these two different men, so our current commander in chief and our previous commander in chief. One is base everything off of their children, like how good their kids are and how good their kids are doing in life. That's number one. We don't even have to say anything. We already know where that stands.
And for those of you that say that you can't judge a kid by his parents, oh yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. I mean, ultimately they make the decision, but how you raise them has a lot to do with it. A lot. So
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
you know, there's not even a comparison in that, right?
No.
You've got kids that, I mean, they're just doing amazing versus kids that are smoking crack and hanging out with hookers, you know? So
You
whatever.
say that like it's a bad thing.
After I said it, I'm like, man, Joe's going to come.
But I'm just saying, all right? That yet another, hey, bro, yet real quick, before I forget, yet another law that your California governor just passed was for prostitutes to go and kind of like, sell themselves. Like, I forget. Hold on, let me find out what it's called. It was funny. I was laughing about it, and I know it has nothing to do with
they're making a chicken ranch in California too, or what?
God. So it was your future president, Governor Newsom, just signed SB 357, right? It's a repeal to the crime of loitering with intent to commit prostitution.
Oh yeah,
so
I did see that.
It's also called the walking while trans law. They're saying it's discriminative against people of color and trans people. I'm like, it's against the law. What do you mean discriminative? It's against the law. So it's
again, he is the most racist guy. People and it's funny. It comes across, people are like, oh well, he's doing stuff for no, he's being completely discriminatory and racist. He's saying that you, as a person of color, can't do things. You can't find a license. You don't know where a DMV office is. You know, you can't do this stuff with, I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Well, it was funny because I'm sorry, but it's just funny. There was a mayor in California. He called it idiotic, right? But he called it the Safe Streets for Pimps Initiative.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
California's
That's
got
to be somebody in the Central Valley or something like that did that.
California's going to
because California's got a lot of conservatives. People don't realize it, but you got the big cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles that are just
that's because all the liberals left.
Dude, because oh man,
Texas and Arizona.
I don't understand. Because they're all coming to Arizona. Like, so it's funny because people will say, well, all these red states are terrible and blah blah blah. No, it's not the red state. It's the big blue cities in those states. So, take like where you just came from, right? Michigan. How good is Michigan as a state overall?
It's a conservative state, but the major populace is liberals, and they live in Detroit, right?
In Detroit, right.
And then up north.
And it's this giant blue dot. So when you're in Arizona, there's 3 blue dots. There's one up north in Flagstaff. There's one in the middle of the state that everybody knows, which is Phoenix.
And Tucson.
Then there's Tucson, Tucson down south, right?
Tucson.
And they're the 3 worst places. Really, I mean, Flagstaff might be the best out of the 3, but they're really dirt holes to live in. They've got the most issues with, all kinds of issues in those areas. And who are they ran by? They're run by a bunch of liberal people, and this is, we got to start looking at this, that these, you're ruling by emotion, not by reason. So my second
real quick, I got to make a correction on Michigan for those Michiganders, because I'm going to start getting calls and texts, but it's not up north. They're not liberal. I forgot. It's Detroit and then Ann Arbor. Of course, where the universities are, you're going to have a lot, kind of like Austin and Texas. You're going to have a lot of blue representation there. So you Michiganders, I apologize for that error. Up north, it's a breed of their own. I'm scared to go through there, so no, you're good up north. Up north, you're good. Up in Michigan, you're conservative.
So the second part on the Trumpy deal is every single president, your daddy, every single president that has come into that office came in at this level of income and has left at this level of income. And some of them have left at this level of income, right? Trump came in at this level of income and left office at this level of income. The only
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
The only one. And why is that? Because he spent his own money, right? He didn't take, he's the only president that took, what was it, $1 a year
Yeah.
for his salary?
Yeah.
Like he gave his salary away.
Mhm.
If he was so corrupt and in that position to make money and everything, he wouldn't have lost money. He would have taken whatever salary they were giving him, you know. And why would you go into something? He was a beloved guy. Like all kinds of people love that guy. And now he walks out and he's got to watch his back all the time because all these people hate him. And why do people hate him? You know, I've seen deals on the street, and it's cool if you don't like him. We all have our own opinion on stuff. I've seen so many things on the street, and they go up to somebody and they say, "So tell me one or two good things that Joe Biden has done in this the last couple of years." And people stutter, man. They have such a hard time finding anything good to say. And then it's like, okay, well, what do you think about Trump? Oh, Trump sucks. He was an idiot,
Racist.
tweeting blah blah blah, racist,
Mhm.
racist.
Yeah.
And okay, well, name three things that he was really
Name one thing.
terrible about in office. And again, they're just tripping over stumps, man. They can't say anything.
They walk
And
away.
It's like
They walk away. Yeah.
they walk away, yeah, because because they have been so indoctrinated by news media and news channels and stuff like that. It's just
by Pelosi,
it's insane.
AOC,
And
by all these haters, even in their own party.
right, yeah.
I was at the bookstore
Yeah.
today, and I'm just browsing because I love
Don't
history.
lie, you don't read.
All right, I followed someone into the bookstore, and no, I read. I just
She went into the romance novel aisle.
she went into the witchcraft stuff. I'm out.
Wow.
No, yes, I did. I usually do digital books, and that's been a while since I've been to a bookstore. But I was at the bookstore today because clearly I'm not in my home right now. If you could see, I'm in a remote location, and
Undisclosed location.
undisclosed location.
Yeah, he's got witness protection right now.
Yeah, sorry guys, but I was at this bookstore, and I love history, and I'm like looking at social stuff, and just looking at different things at the bookstore, and I look at these books, right, and biographies and autobiographies and things like that, and I'm looking at these shelves, and I see Hillary Clinton, she's got books, so what's his name?
Michael Obama?
Barack Osama bin Laden. He had a couple of books up there. George W. Bush, and then you have George H.G. Wells Bush. I don't know. He has like 15 middle names. I don't know. He's almost Mexican. But anyway, he all these people, Ronald Reagan, all these books. The book I found of Trump was an anti-Trump book, right? And I'm like, man, all these people still profited after coming out of the presidency. They got these magnificent libraries. They have all these great things that, this and that, regardless, right? Even Bill Saxman Clinton that had that nice little romance in the Oval Office, right? With the, what I'm talking about? And, even he's got a book, right? And everyone respects him, right? Good old Richard Nixon, right? Mr. Watergate himself, right? He has a book, right? He had law library. You go down California, he's got a law library. He's got his own library down there, presidential library. All these things, right? And Trump gets all the hate. I'm like, at one point you have to stop and really look at like, what is truly behind that? What is behind that hatred for this man who was loved by everybody before he had to, run this country? Everyone loved Trump. It was Trump this, Trump that, Trump daddy. They had rap songs for Trump. They would travel in their jets with Trump. They did all kinds of things for Trump. And then at the end of the day, he becomes president and starts running this country, and they hate him. All this hatred, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where it stems from. I don't know if people understand it. People just kind of go with the flow. They're like a bunch of sheep following. They don't even know why they hate Trump. And to me, that's nerve-wracking, because I'm like, do you even know why you hate him? Like you said earlier, you're going to ask a question. Do you even know how to answer that? Like, can you give an example? Like, besides his mean tweet, right? And that comment he made on the bus on a hot mic. How many people, like you and I, bro, how many off-centered stuff do we say outside of normal ears? I mean, so much,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So
Everybody does, man. I don't. You can
everybody,
say guys do. You can say women do. You can say whites,
everyone
black,
does it,
straight, gay, whatever.
right?
Everybody talks some kind of mess once in a while,
Right. And so all I get is that
and
these
we do
people
to
are
each other, man, and we love each
all the
other.
time. Right.
Not,
But people just follow each other. Right. So
yeah,
if Pelosi's spewing hate, guess what's going to happen? Everybody that follows Pelosi, they're going to just spew the same thing. Right.
right.
And but before that, oh man, everybody was riding on those jets with Trump. Everybody was at the fights with Trump. Everybody was receiving handouts from Trump, daddy. Everybody's like, "Oh, give me money," right? Everybody was there. But the moment he became our president, he's racist. He's this. He sends mean tweets out. He doesn't love this country. He doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. I'm like, what happened to all those people that support him, especially black folk? What happened to all you? You guys were up there where y'all were all up on him because he was promoting fights or he was doing this or he got you on
Yeah,
his show or whatever. But now all of a sudden he's president. Oh, his show was a joke. Oh, this and that. It was highly rated. It was on for a while. You know what I mean?
a lot. Yeah, a lot. So I'm a supporter of him. I never watched that show once. See, now here's something that I find very interesting. I talked to a lot of people and over the years in my different lines of work and everything, and I've noticed kind of a little bit of a common denominator. Obviously, you don't interview every single person, in this way, everybody you meet, but talk to a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that cut their cable a long time ago,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in
Because they
cutting
have,
their
they have
cable,
friends who have boxes. Anyway, go ahead.
they cut their cable, so they haven't listened to the CNNs of the world in
Right.
years, and years. And I've noticed a cohesive thing. People that are still on the cable boxes, right? And that watch CNN and all that on a regular basis lean left. People that have cut their cable and don't watch media and have stayed away from it lean right.
CNN.
Isn't that weird? Why would that be?
Coincidence? Coincidence?
Yeah, could it be that people are actually being suckered in by everything that they say? Because the thing is, if you keep getting beat up by the exact same propaganda, and everything is some kind of propaganda, right? I mean, you know, um, advertisements of any type. How often? Like, I never, ever, ever go to McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
But and I never think about them. But when a commercial comes on, if you're watching or you're listening to the radio or something like that, you think, oh, the McRib's back or whatever. I wouldn't eat a McRib.
That's gross, bro. He got like fake bones in that thing.
Fake
It looks
bones,
like a fake.
yeah.
I'm like, what is that?
But that stuff gets into you, and if that little thing,
Mhm. Bet it
everybody,
does.
even people that are in line at McDonald's right now, getting a quarter pounder with cheese and fries and a extra large diet Coke, they know that food's bad for them, right? They know that food's
Yo,
bad for
if
them.
you're listening, you're at McDonald's, pull away.
Pull away. Do it now. Go.
Pull away, fat fatty. Don't do
That
it.
that was another episode. So they know, everybody knows that food is bad for them, but you go anyways, right? And why do you do that? Because it is just hammered into you all the time. So
Have you tried fries with ice cream? Clearly not. It's delicious.
yeah.
Anyway,
So
sorry.
yeah, these are all regional different things too. You go to certain states, man, you tell them you put ketchup on a hot dog and they're gonna throw it at you. So yeah,
That's why you go to that. That's why you go to the Wiener Schnitzel.
Die Wiener Schnitzel. Yeah, that place was awesome.
I love that place, especially right after walking the date festival all day.
Oh yeah, the fair, walking around there. Yeah,
with your 2 boxes of Vans. Yeah.
the Vans.
Like bandit.
Buy 2 get 1 free or half price or something like that. Man, that's a long time ago.
Hey, conservatives of America. Hey, make sure you're doing the right thing, man. I know that we're not always going to agree on how we view certain things, certain policies and laws, but at the end of the day, we have to agree that we want the best for this country. We want the best for each other. So start doing your part. Start being a conservative and not a Republican.
100%. Well, everybody, thanks so much for hanging out with us today. I'm Jay, and that is Joe, and this has been Joe and Jay Outspoken. If you had fun or learned anything, do us a favor, like, subscribe, comment, and share. If there's a topic you would like to see us cover in the future, let us know at joeandjayproductions.com/ideas. If you would like to help the cause, it can be as small as liking, subscribing, and commenting. You can also grab merch from the Outspoken store or become one of our Patreon members. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Take care of one another.
Do better, be better.
And as always,
God
God bless
bless
America.
America.